is a driving instructor by trade as well now, but I've lost him for a short while because he's been doing a grand job doing the vaccinations at Moulton Park. So I think that's worth a round of applause in itself. Thank you for what you're doing, appreciate that.
I used to have hair, yeah.
Yeah, then he became a driving instructor. He also works as rapid response for the East Midlands Ambulance Service, so hopefully he's got a good idea of what he's doing. So I'm going to put you in the capable hands of Rupert, and I'm sure he'll look after you well. Thank you, Rupert. Cheers.
Okay, cheers, Steve. Right, hello. If you have any questions throughout, there is no such thing as a stupid question, so just ask, and it doesn't matter how many times you get asked the same question. I'm going to try and do it really quick so that you've got a basic knowledge. You don't need to know loads, but if you've got a mate of yours out there who's had a cardiac arrest, you've got about a minute to get on his chest to give him any chance at all of playing again in the future. 1 in 10 cardiac arrests survive, and that's if they get fast intervention, and it is only 1 in 10. All this stuff you see on TV where they pump the chest and the person goes, oh, and they sit up, I'll use it as it is, absolute load of crap. It doesn't happen. So if you have anybody with a cardiac arrest here, out of hospital, you're looking at a 1 in 10 chance of them actually making it alive to the hospital. So I brought the dummy along. The dummy will show you and let you actually see what chest compressions look like. Some of you may well have seen stuff before, some of you may not. When you watch Casualty on TV, they're doing this and they're going, that's not CPR, that is CPR. You are going to break ribs, you're going to break their breastbone, they are going to end up with massive bruising. You are basically crushing their ribs to squash their heart and then letting it come back out. And you're going to do that once every second. So you are going to pump fast, and it is hard and fast. I've watched you out there, some of you while you're playing footy. You have your little 2 minutes. So you need a team working here, because the ambulance, when you dial 999, there are only, and when I left this morning, I had a quick check to see how many were on the road. So in Northamptonshire today, there are 15 ambulances, and that is covering Kettering down to Brackley. And there's 15 ambulances that are on 999 fast response. Those ambulances are back to back with patients. So any time you ring for an ambulance, it is going to be coming from Kettering General or Northampton General Hospital. It's not coming from Harbour Road. People see the ambulance station at Harbour Road or up Mere Way and think, oh yeah, they're just sitting there waiting for the call to come in, and they're going to run out, jump in their little yellow taxi, and they're going to shoot off. That's not how it works. They are going to leave their patient at A&E in Northampton, and they're going to drive from there. So even on blues and twos coming from Northampton, you're going to be talking 15, 20 minutes to get here. If it's rush hour, you could be talking 25 minutes, half an hour. You're going to be out there on your own until that crew arrives. And when the crew arrives, they're not going to tell you to stop. They're going to tell you to keep going whilst they get their kit out. I brought some with me now. They're going to get all that out. They're going to get set up ready, because they need to be ready to jump on when they tell you to get off. And they might want you to carry on, because you might be doing a fantastic job and they can do something else. So basically, you need to make sure that your person is dead, because if you do CPR and they're not dead, you're going to really hurt them and you're going to bugger things up. So best way to find out if they're dead is to feel whether they're breathing. Now, we're going to assume that you are all COVID positive, because in this day and age at the moment, we want to save ourselves as well as save our mates. So we're going to assume they're COVID positive. So we're not going to put a head near their head. We're going to use the back of our hand. We're going to open our fingers and we're going to put it across their face like that. And if you do that to yourself, you'll feel the hairs on the back of your hand move because of your breathing. And it doesn't matter how shallow your breathing is, those hairs on your hand are going to move. You do that, you will feel some form of movement if they're breathing. The other thing we do is we look for a pain response or a sort of response to movement or anything like that. So you're going to say to them, hello, hello, can you hear me? And you're going to say it loud. And then you're going to go on their shoulder blades like that. If there's any sort of response, it's going to come now. If there is no response, we are going to assume they're dead. So we're not going to do mouth to mouth because they're COVID positive. So we are going to open their mouth and we're going to have a look inside. and we're thinking, okay, we've probably been on the football pitch, we're probably a bit mouthy, a bit sweaty, spitty. So we're going to do what's called a head tilt. So we're going to turn their head sideways. This one's not going to go. We're going to turn their head sideways. And we're going to open their mouth. And we're going to just let stuff drain out if there's anything there. And then if there's nothing there, we're going to start doing CPR. We're not going to worry about their clothing. And we're going to assume where their nipples are, which are there and there. And we're going to go between the nipples. And we're going to put the palm of the hand between the nipple, the other hand on top. You don't need to do all of this, just one hand on top of the other, and we're going to start pumping. And it's going to be every second, and it's going to be hard and fast. So we're going to go. And we're going to have the arms locked. We're not bending our arms, we're having them locked. And a good position is to be on your knees and to use the weight of your body to push down on them. So if I just lean on him, I'm not going all the way down. So you've got to really give it some push to go. And you're going to be pumping like that. Now, one of you will have run into the clubhouse to grab the defib, because without the defib, we're going to struggle and we're not going to be able to get him back. So when the defib arrives, the defib will tell you what to do. Now, I don't know what sort of defib you've got. Some of them are red, some of them are yellow, some of them are green. In the ambulance service, we use Zoll. I carry one there. That's a live one. This is a training one. They're interchangeable, so if you've got one that's similar to this, the pads will plug into the ambulance crew's machine. So when the ambulance crew, or if I arrive, we can swap over. I've got more monitoring system that we carry in the main car, and we can plug in onto yours. So what we need to do is we need to get to the chest. So we open the chest so we can see. If you can't unzip it, or if it won't do, rip it, cut it, pull it off, doesn't really matter. And then we pop the lid off the defib. And we turn the defib on. And the defib will tell you what to do.
Unit okay. Stay calm. Check responsiveness. Call for help.
Help!
Open airway.
So airway's clear, okay? So then we're going to put the pads on. So the pads
Check
come in a set like this. The pads go, one goes up here and one goes down here.
Attach defib pads to
You are
patient's
looking
third
to
chest.
get an electric shock to go through the heart. If you put one pad down here and one pad up here, it doesn't matter which way it is.
Attach defib pads.
Doesn't
to
matter
patient's third
which
chest.
way it goes. So you take the pads and you pull the sticky off the back.
Attach defib pads to patient's third chest.
And you put one above the nipple, the other one round the side.
Attach defib pads to patient's don't touch. Analyze. Don't touch patient. Analyzing.
All this time it's doing it for you.
Shock advised. Don't touch patient. Press flashing shock button.
Okay, so you stand clear. You do not touch the patient. It will put you on your back.
Don't. Shock delivered. Start CPR.
And now we've got CPR in progress. That's how it works. And that will keep doing that cycle. And after you've done 30 compressions, it will ask you to wait and it will analyse the patient. If there is a shockable rhythm, it will tell you to shock the patient. All defibs work in the same way. They just look slightly different, but they all work in the same way. It's, using an analogy from Steve, it's like driving a car. They've all got a clutch, or they've all got a handbrake, they've all got a steering wheel. Sometimes their wipers are on a different side, but they all work the same way. You keep... Yep.
If it detects that a shock is required, do you have to do so? Does it automatically
Yeah,
do that?
it will not shock. You have to press the button to shock. So what will happen is it will analyse the patient again, and it will decide whether or not there is a rhythm there that they can shock. If there is, it will tell you to stand clear. It will tell you to shock the patient. If it picks up a heartbeat, it will tell you to stop CPR. If it doesn't pick up a heartbeat, it will tell you to continue with CPR. And you get back on the chest between the nipples and you keep pumping.
I have a question.
Yep.
You said about every 1 second.
Yep.
How long for? have a break after every 20
Okay, so we do 30 compressions, and the defib will tell you to stop.
Before the defib arrives, though,
Okay, so you just keep going. Before the defib, you do not stop. This patient is not breathing, and we are not doing mouth to mouth. So the only air, the only air that's going into this patient is because when you squash their lungs and you let go, it's sucking some air in just because of a spring reaction.
Is the defib counting the 30 or are you?
No, you're counting the 30. It will talk to you whilst you're going along, but count that 30 because it's good for you to know how many cycles you've done. Because when I arrive or one of my colleagues arrive, we'll say, how long has this been going on for? Because it's a great help to us to know if you've been, we call it down, if you've been down for half an hour and it's been good CPR, and if when we arrive it is looking good CPR and you're doing good deep compressions, we'll carry on. If when we arrive you're doing this and you've been doing that for 20 minutes, I'll be totally honest, their brain is scrambled egg. Yeah, they're going to be shit. So it's probably a better idea that we actually stopped. If you've been doing good compressions, there's a good chance we could get them back. As I said right at the beginning, it's only 1 in 10, and you can't do anything wrong. They are dead. You can't be deader than dead. So anything you do...
So a few broken ribs don't matter.
Oh, forget it, yeah. I've got a very good friend who I met out on a job, and we're now great friends, and I broke several of his ribs, and he was in hospital for a long time. He came out of hospital, and we're great friends now because I saved his life. And it's like, he still says to me now, though, he says, God, he said, my chest, he said, it's you know, but I smashed loads of them. But that's just how it goes. So, do you guys want to have a go? Do you want to get stuck in and have a go? Yeah, you ought to, yeah.
John, you're nearest. Yes. Saying that, though, you were last year, so you're not counting on any other duties to do. You have no excuse.
So I'll talk you through it, and I've got a little app here which will show us how well you are doing compressions. Okay, so what's going to happen is they're down on the floor. You can't do this on your own. So what do you need to do?
You need to get somebody to
shout for help.
Shout for help.
Yeah. And what's the most important thing you do when you're shouting for help?
Phone. Get them to
Send
phone
somebody
999.
to phone 999. Otherwise, nobody's coming in your ear forever. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're shouting for help. Somebody is going to phone 999. Call for that ambulance.
Yep.
The ambulance call handler is going to help you, and they're going to talk you through on the phone what to do. But if you've got a good idea like this, you're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to check whether or not the patient's breathing, first of all.
Back of the hand.
So hand, that's it, perfect. Yeah, just are those hairs on the back of your hand moving?
Yeah.
They're not moving, they're dead. So
just see if you get a response.
So yeah, we give him a damn good thrashing on the shoulders. Yeah, that's it. Real
Hello?
good taps, yeah?
Yep.
Nothing at all. So he's dead. We're going the fact that his heart has stopped. He's not breathing.
Yeah, you just check his airways.
Check his airways clear, because you're going to try and get some air in there, but we're not going to do anything. We're just going to tilt his head. Okay, my dummy the head won't move, so forget it. Don't, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. To see if he swallowed the tongue.
You can't swallow your tongue. It can roll towards the back of your throat, but it won't go all the way down. And what we can do is we can do a head tilt, which I'll explain to you in a second, but it just stops that mouth from closing. But anyway, so this guy is now not breathing, and he's dead. So what are we looking for now? Where are we going to put our hands?
We want to get...
Straight between the nipples, yeah?
And we
Palm-
don't rip his shirt yet.
Not yet. No, don't need
that's
to. What we're doing is we're looking for speed here.
Yeah.
The faster we can get these compressions on, the better it is. So we're going between the nipples with the palm of your hand,
Yeah.
other hand on the top, and then we're going to do deep compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, slow down just a touch. Yeah, keep going.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Just slow it down a touch.
13, 14, 15, 16.
Faster.
17, 18, 19,
If you ever
20.
look, So speedo needs to be in the green, and this white line needs to go up and down. So, yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Okay, defib's not here, so we're going to keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah.
31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39.
Yeah, so that's how hard you've got to do it. So defib's now arrived.
Yep.
So we're going to pop the lid off the defib. Now hopefully there's two of you here, because one of you is going to still be jumping up and down on the chest.
Just switch it
Yeah,
on.
I'll switch it on for you.
Yeah, switch it on.
Go on, go for it. Just
Yep, yep. Oh, is that stuck? Oh, they're back on again, aren't they?
yeah. Come on, machine.
You stick one.
Hang on. Yeah, well, do it. Look, there's a drawing on it, so it'll show you.
Unit OK.
Come on.
Unit OK.
Yes, I know you're okay.
Stay calm. Check responsiveness. Call for help. Open airway.
Yeah, pads are on.
And then,
Check breathing.
So we know there's no breathing.
yep. So we,
Just hang on, it'll talk to you.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
So we've got the pads in that position. It doesn't matter whether you've got one pad in the wrong place. If you've swapped them over, it doesn't matter.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
So you ripped the shirt.
Yeah.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest. Attach defib pads
come
to
on.
patient's bare chest.
It's a bit like my garage door. It's like that. Goes up, doesn't come down.
Attach defib pads.
Okay, so
to
let's
patient's bare
assume that we've got the pads are on. So it's going to analyse. I don't know why this won't work.
Attach defib pads to patient's.
Yeah, they're on. Yeah. Because it doesn't actually connect because it's not a human being. So there's no electrical activity. Come on.
Attach defib. Don't touch. Patient.
Here we go.
Analyze. Don't touch patient. Analyzing. Shock advised. Don't touch
Right.
patient. Press
So
flashing
we
shock
check
button.
nobody is now touching the patient, and then we hit it
Shock delivered. Start CPR.
back on the chest.
That's the rhythm boy as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That is the rhythm.
Okay, we'll stop there because then that will give other guys a chance to jump on. But that's how hard you got to press. I love this. Shut up. So that's how hard and how deep you got to go. And you've got to do that. Like I say, you're probably looking at 20 minutes plus for this. So you're going to take it in turns maybe. When you're knackered, you do a couple of minutes of that and you turn around and say, somebody else jump on for me. And just do round robins, just, you know. And I can't emphasise this enough. I know we're blokes and I know we're shy about getting stuck in sometimes, but it's a mate of yours. You can't do anything worse. You know, he's dead, yeah? And he's going to turn around and thank you afterwards for trying to get him back, if you've got him back. But you might not get him back. Right, okay, so...
So, just say, that knows when you've done 30.
It knows when you've done 30 and it will tell you to wait whilst they analyse the patient again. Yeah. I apologise that my thing's playing up. Normally I can push lots of buttons and it tells you lots of things. Anybody else? Want to have a quick blast?
Someone getting back up.
So we're going to check that that patient has got a response, because we don't want to do CPR if they're still alive. They might have fainted, they might just be absolutely knackered and down on the floor. So we're going to check for that breathing. Like I say, we're assuming that everybody is COVID positive, that there is they're a COVID patient. So back of the hand, yeah. Can you feel any air moving those little hairs on the back of your hand? There's nothing there. Big taps on the shoulder blades. And then we're shouting to him, are you there? Can you hear me? You know, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
John,
Fred,
Bill, Fred.
Bill,
yeah. So there's nothing there. So we've already shouted for help. We've got somebody who's going to phone the ambulance, because that is the really important thing, is to make sure that ambulance is coming. So then we're going to jump on that chest. So we're going to start doing chest compressions. So between there, that's it. So, because we haven't checked the airway, what we don't know is that he had a little bit of sick in his mouth. Okay, you've now pushed his chest down. That sick has now shot out of his mouth under great pressure, and it's now dripping off your chin. Either that or the bit of chewing gum is implanted firmly up one nostril of yours. So, okay, so defib's arrived. We're going to stick the defib on. So we're going to turn the defib on. So press the on button. That's it. So we're on.
Okay.
We'll press it.
Stay calm.
There we go. So it's talking to you.
Responsiveness. Call for help.
So it's telling you what you've already done, yeah? So now it's going to ask you to put the pads on.
Check breathing. Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
So the pads are really sticky.
Can I say, Rupert, also at this point, you've already done those
Attach
things, it's
defib
pretty
pads
much
to
Yeah.
patient's bare chest.
We're not waiting
Yeah,
to do that.
you're not. You're going to know what it's doing, yeah. So you can be there, yeah. And like I say, you can't get the pads in the wrong
Attach
order.
defib pads to patient's bare chest. Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
Come on.
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
It's always this point, isn't it?
Attach defib pads to patient's bare chest.
It's new batteries.
Attach defib pads
Okay, so
to patient's
we're going to assume. I'm sorry about this. I do apologise. We're going to assume that it's now saying analysing patient, stand clear. So we're not going to be touching the patient in any way, shape or form, because any electrical activity from you, if you're touching the patient, the pads will pick that up. It's then going to say shock advised, stand clear of the patient. So we're going to make sure that none of our mates are near that patient. And then it's going to say deliver shock. So you will press the red flashing button. Now, it doesn't matter which defib you have, they're all a big flashing red button in the middle. So deliver the shock. So we're going to press that button, and then it will say shock delivered, continue CPR. So we're going to jump back on that chest. That is really good compressions. Let it come up a little bit more. That's it. But that's a good speed and it's a good depth of compression. You're not going too deep and you're letting it come right back up again, because you've got to let that chest expand. Now, you won't have a little thing like that on your phone telling you how well you're doing with your mate on the floor. But that's a rough guide, is you need to come right off the chest and nice and deep. And that will be giving you, yeah, it'll have a metronome on it, which will give you that ping. Yeah. Okay, have a rest, because otherwise. Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah.
Any questions? No.
Just remember
Yeah.
tilt the head.
If a guy's had a heart attack
Yep.
and he is still alive,
Yep.
is there anything
we can do other than obviously call an ambulance?
Okay, so if he's breathing, but if the symptoms of a heart attack basically are a really tight chest. It's as if somebody is sitting on your chest, it's described as, and the patient themselves will have, the words we use in the service is an impending sense of doom. You feel like you're going to die. Have any of you guys had a cardiac arrest? No? Okay, so... okay, so apparently you have this, I've not had one, but you have this feeling internally that everything's coming to an end. It's almost like a sixth sense. A good position to put somebody in is to actually have them sitting slightly up. It takes a bit of the pressure off of the chest weighing it down. You don't want them sitting straight up, but just almost if they're laying on a sunbed and slightly reclined. It's whatever the patient feels most comfortable at. If they're breathing, if they've got this tightness of the chest, that's what we would call a running job. So that would go top of our list because they are going to go into cardiac arrest and we want to get there as quick as we can. So that's when you're going to get a response car come literally driving. We drive like we're wacky races because it's a running call. We call that a purple call and it's above red. The chances of that person surviving is fantastic because when they arrive we can administer drugs, we can administer adrenaline, we can take the pain away, we can make that patient relax, we can give them oxygen, we can get a mask on them, we can take all this stress out of that cardiac arrest and get them straight into the cath lab to get it sorted. If they're dead, we're already on the wrong side of the line and we've got to bring them back to get them going the other way again. And that sounds really traumatic, I know, and it sounds really horrible, but I'm not going to bullshit you.
When you sit them out,
yeah.
Do you raise their knees?
No. Leave their knees down. Lifting people's legs, things like that, is if somebody's fainted. When you're fainting, we call that a vasovagal attack, and that is there's not enough oxygen getting to the brain, and the body is just shut down. So we need to get more blood to the brain. The way you get more blood to the brain is you put the head down, legs up. The head is then below the heart, and the blood goes to the head. Should bring you back. Don't leave their legs up too long, because then they'll go like drunk type feeling because they've got too much there. But you should get somebody back if they've just fainted.
Can I ask you?
Yeah, of course you can.
There used to be a teaching about so many compressions to so many breaths.
Yes.
Has that gone out because of COVID, or has it gone out of fashion?
It's gone out because of COVID. Yeah. We're not going to do the breathing. If you know, if it's your brother, if it's your wife, if it's your son, we're going to breathe, because I would for my family. I might not for one of you, but I'm going to be totally honest here. I probably would for Steve, only because I know Steve. It's a call that you need to make.
Is it slightly a better option then?
If you don't do the breathing, there is only about 10% of the oxygen that the body needs is going to be going into those lungs. If you do the breathing, you're going to be putting 100% oxygen into those lungs. We use a bag valve mask. It's what you see on Casualty or whatever. And that will put that in. So that will just go over the face like that. Nice tight seal. You can see the chest rising. And if you're going to do a breath, every time you breathe for your patient. If you need a breath, so does the patient. If the patient doesn't need a breath, or you don't need a breath, they're just laying there flat on the floor. They're not running around playing footy. So we don't want to give them too much. But you just breathe every time you breathe.
The breath technique is percentage-wise better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You've got a bit of kit there that does that.
Yep.
Is that bit of kit worth?
No.
This not allowed out because it increases the chances of the patient.
This is the best bit of kit you can get. It's a £5 bag, yeah. Put that over their head, make the seal, blow through there. Nothing can come back, it's a one-way valve. If it's a mate of yours or if it's somebody you don't know, and they all look pretty much the same, they're all sort of masked up, but it's a one-way valve, so nothing can come back from them, and you just put that over their mouth.
Do you have to hold them down?
you need to make a tight seal. So your mouth is going to go basically round over their nose and their mouth. If it's a family member, if they've got, if you, say it's a car crash or something like that, their mouth might be full of blood. You can blow up their nose. Within the service, we have all sorts of airways and tubes and cannulas. We'll stick a tube down their nose. We'll stick a tube in their mouth. There's all sorts of stuff. We have.
That way it's better and doesn't crack your ribs.
Yeah, absolutely. But in here we'll have a tube, so that we'll stick that down your mouth, so that's just inside your teeth. Your teeth sit round that. We have different sizes for different people, so you'll have big ones, you'll have little ones, you'll have smaller ones, you'll have some for kids.
Does that replace the...
No, doesn't replace CPR at all. You would do 30 compressions and then you'd do 2 breaths. And then you do 30 compressions and 2 breaths. The minute you do your first compression after the breath, you've just pushed all that air out of their lungs, and they're only going to get a small fraction of air come back into their lungs. But you're going to do 30 seconds worth of pumping, and then you're going to give them some air again. You're going to breathe twice a minute, so you're back in that sort of thing. So that
should be in the first aid bag at least.
Yeah, an airway is good, and it's good to carry. You could have it on your belt, you could have it in your pocket, have it on your car key ring. It's just something to carry.
So you can get that from Boots or anywhere?
Yeah. Tesco's, Boots, the Well pharmacies, Amazon. As a football club, you might want to just turn around and look on Amazon. You can get 50 of them in a box or whatever for a few quid, and then just hand them out.
Well, it's instant response. I've gone through 2 sessions by the time it arrives, so if it's there ready, you've got a few reps in the first, well, at least twice through. I would have thought.
Either in the first aid kit or some in each kit bag. We've got 4 kit bags.
Because you do the air two rests first, then go into...
Check for breathing. Is the patient breathing?
Yeah.
And what I'll do as well is I'll show you that when it comes to the patient and seeing if that airway is open, I'm doing everything from the head end, because that's what we do within the service. It doesn't matter where you attack that patient. So if you're going to be this way round, between the nipples, you're still pumping. If you're going to do mouth to mouth, you've got mouth to mouth. You're there, and you can just lean in. From the ambulance service side, we always work from the head, because if you notice, I've tilted their head back, so the head is tilted back. I've let go, the head's come forward, I'm now pressing. From the ambulance service wise, head back, I've got it in the knees, that airway is still open, and now I'm pumping. That's I'm not being rude, but that's too advanced for you guys as such, to hold their head in your knees. You don't need to do that, because you're going to get air going in anyway. But from our point of view, we work from the head. If the ambulance service arrive, they will take the head position, and the person who is at the head is going to do everything else. But they may well say to you, can you jump on? Can you do compressions for me? I'll have my bag, I'll be putting a tube in, you're still pumping on their chest. You need to be doing those compressions. I can be doing other things. I can do the breathing. You guys can all take it in turns until my mates arrive, until they come in the ambulance. You can be doing compressions, because if I'm doing compressions, I'm not doing other things. We can be administering drugs, we can be putting a line in, doing all sorts of stuff, and you guys are still pumping on the chest. So you're all needed if it's here. Ignore my front door, please. Yeah, so there's loads you can do. Anything that you do is going to boost those odds, like I say. Out of hospital cardiac arrest, the odds are stacked against you big time.
So just to be that mask that
yeah, bag valve mask.
Not a good. We shouldn't be having it.
You shouldn't have one of these. I would strongly suggest, I can't tell you not to, but I would strongly suggest you don't have one of these. The real ones have a tube. Here's a sterile one, but it's got the tube in, and I connect that to my O2, and I then blow 100% oxygen in. This is just a training model. I would really say no. You can buy them on the internet. It does mean that you don't have to do mouth to mouth. These also, it will come off, he says. these also come, you can get masks like this. You perhaps see them, you get a little yellow thing sometimes stuck on the wall somewhere. It contains a mask like this, which you can put over and you can blow in this mask. It has a little one-way valve in. They're quite good, but getting a tight seal can be really difficult, especially if a patient's got a beard or something like that. If it's a family member, your lips are better because you're going to, lips like skin on skin, he's going to give you a nice seal and your lips are going to flex as opposed to a solid piece of plastic. If it's not a family member, a thin piece of plastic over their face, there is a physical barrier then between your lips and them. You're going to get a good tight seal, because this won't necessarily, if you've not got it right, it's going to come out from under the chin. It's quite difficult to get a good seal. It's only because I've done it a few times that I can give you a good seal. But for example, if you've not got it on right, nothing's happening at all, yeah? You can do it this way, it's coming up past his eyes. You need to get it on nice and firm. And there's the chest going. But you do have to, you can see there, I'm holding this like that. The grip is quite there and I'm tilting that head. If you haven't got it quite right, you can blow as hard as you like and bugger all's happening, yeah? If you've got your lips round there, it's going to go in. Anybody else want to have a go, or had enough, or?
Nobody? I'd like to feel the compression pressure, because that obviously scares me, that does, but you've got to do it. I'd just like to feel that pressure going in there.
Now, when I say you're going to break ribs, you will hear those ribs break.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah? Think.
Get some bag for you. Still got to do it anyway, too.
Think garden cane, think whatever. It's going to snap, it's going to crack.
What if you've got a replacement knee and you can't kneel down?
You delegate. An orange deep, yeah. No, it's fine. What I would say is, and I'm going to be blunt here, you've got it in the clubhouse. Why don't they have it in a locked box outside the clubhouse?
Well, we've got it in a place where the doors are open during our session.
But what happens at 11 o'clock at night when the guy who lives in that house just down the road is having a cardiac arrest and yours is locked up? Whereas if it was on the outside wall in a locked box, when they've dialed 999, the call handler can say the code for that box is, and his wife can come out, open the box, go back, and his son can plug him in. I'm not twisting your arm.
No, it's for security, isn't it? I mean, you don't trust it to stay there. I mean, that was Crispin's social job. We got one on the wall outside.
Yeah.
Still worried about vandalism.
No. There is.
So that is the answer. That came up at our last committee meeting.
Yeah.
Club policy is to keep it inside because of possible theft, vandalism.
And getting wet.
I don't know.
Things out there. I think it's getting wet as well, but you should get a sealed bag for that, or sealed box.
Steve, I need to go.
There you go, give it a go.
That's been very enlightening. I need to get some of those little things.
Back to
bags. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll ask Martin if there's any.
Too fast, didn't he?
No, that arrow in there, you're in the green. Look, you're doing okay.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. It's harder than you think, isn't it? And you watch them on TV and they're giving.
Hard work to maintain that pace.
Where's Vinnie Jones when you need him?
Yeah, but what you also get, of course, on TV is you get the, oh yeah, oh God, yeah, you know, oh thank you so much. Right, that ain't going to happen. That ain't not going to happen.
You're going to go down the method acting approach, though. If you're going to crack their ribs up, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Harder than football.
No method acting, crap your ribs, lads. Let's look good.
Yeah. Put the palm slightly further down so it's between the nipples. That's it.
A bit harder, I think.
Do some welly in.
Bit more welly.
Yeah, we've got to hear it.
Right, you got a bit quick, just slow it down a touch.
And you're a bit soft. That's it. Let me tell you about.
And you're doing well because you're coming right off the chest. You've got to let that chest come back up.
Yeah, doing it for a long time, you're going to be...
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot of work, isn't it, though? Yeah, when you think about it. And when...
If you hear their ribs break,
Yeah.
surely you're going to...
You're going to go...
"Ooh,
Yeah,
my neck."
I do for the first once or twice. And I do... there was one earlier this week I responded to, which was an 83-year-old lady. And that was quite traumatic because as an 83-year-old lady and going in like we went in, apparently she was meant to be quite active and quite fit, so we gave it quite a lot of intervention. She didn't make it. She didn't leave home. But it is, when you think it's a little old lady, you know.
Yeah.
I think for me there's going to be a lot of...
Is that working or not?
It
will. There you go.
I think,
Say again, sorry?
I think for me there's going to be it's a big step to do something like that on someone.
It is.
And it's a kind of a mindset that you're going to be doubting yourself as to whether you're doing the right thing.
Okay,
And,
so...
what you're saying is, just check their conscious, check their breathing, not breathing, and
Yeah,
off you go.
yeah.
Is it that simple?
It is that simple.
If someone collapses,
Okay, so they've gone down and you're going to check for breathing. Are they breathing?
Yeah.
You're going to look, is their chest rising? Can you feel any breath on their on your hands? Yeah. If they're not breathing, their heart has stopped.
right.
I think what Tony's also getting at is the fact that
in between
being
the
in
green.
a very alien situation.
Oh, it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
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 Is the
But-
hardest thing to do, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Mem-
But I think when you've got 50 blokes out there, always just go hands
And I will
taking this.
I'll tell you now, if you've got 50 blokes out there and they're playing football on 3 different pitches and somebody suddenly sees Steve doing this, that is going to fall silent because it does. Yeah, I can be in the Grosvenor Centre in town, I can be, you name it, I can be anywhere, and it just falls silent.
Somebody will step up to the mark.
Yeah.
It's gonna click.
What
I
you
don't
also
think
might
I'm
find,
one of those people that
if
steps off.
if you're in Tesco's Western Fayval, I was on YouTube until they removed it, but if you're in Tesco's Western Fayval and you're doing this next to the milk and you're giving shit, you will find somebody with a camera, and they will be filming you. And it'll appear on YouTube or something. Because people do, they stand there and they're going, oh, look at this, look, you know. Yeah,
Don't think seeing that is going on YouTube. Something like that.
yeah,
Training video, fine, but
yeah, no, but that went on YouTube. That was Tesco's Western Fayval, that was.
There's no point in taking pulses or anything like that. Trying to,
Forget it, forget it. You haven't got time and they're dead. Yeah?
Just make sure the airway is.
Just open that airway. If there's anything in their mouth, if there's any vomit or anything, that head tilt, just let it pour out. Don't put your finger in, don't do anything like that. The crew will arrive, or like the first response will arrive. They'll have suction, they'll have all sorts of stuff to deal with it. But if you haven't started, if that person is down on the floor for more than 5 minutes without a chest compression, they are never coming back. You've got to have any real chance of getting a ROSC, return of spontaneous cardiac arrhythmia, is you need to be on their chest within the first minute.
I mean, for me, before this session, I'll be one of those persons stepping back and letting somebody take
Yeah.
control. But I'd like to think, knowing that bit more about it, we'll all be stepping in very quickly.
what are the chances of their heart starting again while you're doing this? With that as well.
Okay, so do you understand what a heart attack is? Do you know what causes a heart attack?
No.
So there's 2 different main things which cause a heart attack. So your heart is a muscle, and it doesn't matter whether it's your thigh muscle, whether it's your calf muscle, it's a muscle. And the heart, the muscle contracts, so that's contracted, it's squeezing the blood. It relaxes, it lets the blood fill it back up again. It contracts, and it does that. That muscle needs blood to work. So just like this muscle does, or just like your calf muscles do, or whatever, that oxygenated blood has got to get into that muscle to make it actually function. Most cardiac arrests are caused because the arteries that feed the blood to the heart get blocked. So the heart has got no blood. So the muscle can't work. It's like you're knackered out here and your legs are killing you and you're like, sod it, I can't run no more. Yeah, I physically can't run. I need a minute. I physically can't. My legs feel like concrete. There's no way I can carry on. I just got to stop. That's what your heart's done. It's stopped. By you pumping their chest, you are not going to clear that blood clot out of that artery. So that heart is not going to restart, because it's blocked. And they need to go to the cath lab, and they need a surgeon down there to put a cannula in, grab that clot, and pull it out and unbung the artery. And when the blood flow returns, the muscle can then start working. You're not going to do that, are you? That's not going to happen. So you're going to make that heart physically pump on its own, even though the heart has got no blood. You're going to make that happen. And that's what CPR is. Right. That is keeping that heart going. There are other ways that people have heart attacks. It can be traumatic. So therefore, something physical has happened. So an artery has ruptured. They might have had an embolism, something like that. So there is physically no blood in the system. Your radiator in your car's overheated. You've got no water. It doesn't matter what you do. You've got no bloody water in it. It ain't going to work. Yeah. They may have had an electric shock. And so therefore, the electrical impulses in the heart that normally fire and go down through the heart, making the chambers work in the right order, aren't working because it's all gone wrong. So you need to shock them, because basically you've all got computers and whatever, that's Control-Alt-Delete. That's pressing the reset button. It's shocking that heart and clearing out the memory, pressing cancel, restart, whatever you want to do, and letting it start again. But most cardiac arrests are caused because you've got a blockage. Most people will have a bypass because they've had a cardiac arrest, or they'll have cath lab treatment. We've got fantastic facilities in Northampton. They've got even better facilities in Oxford. They may take you to Northampton, and then they might blue light you to Oxford once you're stable in Northampton. It's great. The chances of survival, if you get to hospital and you've got a rhythm, is brilliant. If you haven't got a rhythm, it's really bad. And it's just say it as it is. Yeah, if nobody has done CPR in the first minute, don't not do it, because if I get called to a job and nobody's doing CPR and it's taken me 10 minutes to get there, I'll start. But that patient has got more chance of winning the lottery if they were to buy a bloody ticket than me getting them back, because you're dead. And every minute that goes past when your brain has not got oxygen, and your brain, the only way it's going to get oxygen is if that heart is pumping. And if that heart is not pumping, there's no oxygen. And so therefore brain cells are dying. And every minute you're losing a percentage of your brain. And it's horrific to think it like that, but it's the way it is. It's you've just got to do something if you can.
So just taking a step back, when we've done the breathing check,
yep,
they are breathing,
they're
still laying down.
Okay, if they're breathing, leave them exactly where they are. Ambulance is coming.
Not recovery position.
They're laying on their back, they're breathing, their airway's open. If you want to, you can put them in the recovery position. Personally, I'd prefer to keep somebody on their back. You can see what's going on, and if they do arrest on you, you haven't got to then turn them over. You're monitoring what's going on. If they're laying on their back and they're breathing, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I think the other thing is, regardless, you call an ambulance.
Yeah. First thing you do, the first thing you do is shout for help, and shout for bloody help. That's what I do. If I turn up at a job, if I was to be walking down the street now, if one of you guys was to have collapsed and I was in the car park behind a car, you'd hear me, because I'd yell like my life depended on it for some help, and then get somebody to ring 999. Because
anything obvious that says somebody's collapsed on this pitch because they're fainted or they're having this attack?
Okay, so if it's a faint, they're likely to be very, very pale, because the blood flow is low in oxygen. So therefore, you're not all flushed and you're not all pink, because you're all white, because there's no oxygen in there. The blood cells aren't all red; they've all depleted. If they've just collapsed but they're breathing, and they're very pale, it's probably a faint. Legs in the air, they should come round after a minute or two. People might faint 3 and 4 times in close succession.
They're still breathing.
They're still breathing. If they're breathing, don't do anything at all, just wait for that ambulance. I don't know what you know. If you ring 999, you ask for an ambulance, the first thing you get is you'll get the operator who answers 999, and they'll say, which service do you require? And you'll say, I need an ambulance. And they'll say, okay, what's the address of the emergency? But if you've got a mobile phone, they'll know within approximately 10 metres where you are anyway, because of your phone pinging it from masts. Because we're local and we've got lots of masts, they can really ping that in close. It's a good thing. There's an app, and it's called What 3 Words?
Yeah, got that.
That divides the whole of the world into 3 metre squares. So there's a square here, and it will have 3 random words. It might be tomato, field, car. That's that square there. That square there is going to be something different. In the clubhouse, you could have something on the wall that says the location of What 3 Words. Out here,
Red barrel.
the chopper could land out here, the air ambulance. So what you could do is you could go and stand in the middle of the pitch with the app, and you could find out what the square is in the middle of the pitch. And you could have that as your What 3 Words thing. And then when you're on the phone, you could say, we've got a cardiac arrest, we've got CPR in progress, and it's good CPR. They might call the air ambulance in. They might come from Coventry. And by saying, okay, if the helicopters come in, What 3 Words, such and such, they'll know exactly where the middle of the pitch is.
Feed rating frame.
There you go. So what is it here?
Feed rating frame.
So that is that particular square, wherever it may be.
If I move, it's going to be something else.
And that could be a quicker response.
Yeah.
We've got that opportunity because we've got the space for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well worth thinking
You know, and
but they would know they could
yeah,
ride that,
if
wouldn't
the ambulance will still come, because if the helicopter comes with a doctor or some form of medic. So it might be an A&E doctor, it might be an A&E consultant, it might be an anaesthetist consultant, it could be a general surgeon. The air ambulance carries a particular highly trained, highly skilled trauma doctor, and that can be, like I say, it can be anything. It also carries with it an advanced paramedic, and it carries with it another paramedic or anaesthetist doctor, something like that. So there are 3 really skilled medics plus a pilot, and the pilot will get stuck in as well. He'll carry kit, he'll do chest compressions, he might even set up drips and things like that because he's been there numerous times and he knows what he's doing to help. But the crew that arrives, the fast response car, is one bloke on his own. If I respond, I cannot bring somebody back from a cardiac arrest on my own. I'm going to be in the middle of that football field until I've got my mates arrive. There's nothing I can do. I can't take you anywhere. I can't do anything. I can do loads, but I can't physically get you to the hospital, to the cath lab, to have that clot removed. I can't get you to go and have a scan. It's not going to happen.
I phoned an ambulance last week, and the car came, and that took quite a while. That took 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
And the ambulance was probably as much as an hour.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard work.
I was going to say, and I'll be honest with you, so in that scenario, we've got a cardiac arrest with active CPR in progress that, let's say it's good quality CPR, it will bump us up the queue, but if there are no ambulances, they're not coming. And that, I know it sounds horrific, but they're not coming. And it could.
That was tight chest, so.
Yeah.
I mean, the operator was brilliant.
Yeah. And they'll never hang up on you. So it doesn't matter if you've dialed 999. You can be on the phone for an hour doing CPR, and they'll be talking to you continually. The battery on your phone may go. You might need another person to say, okay, here's another phone number. I'm going to ring 999 now, and we'll change calls, because if you've been on the phone for an hour having a conversation, your battery, you might only have 20% when you rang 999. They'll talk to you, though, and they'll ask you what's going on.
Yeah. My phone was actually flat, and I was attached to the wall.
Yeah.
And she told me to go and find some aspirin.
Yeah,
So
but like I say, they'll tell you loads, yeah? Aspirin under the tongue, yeah? And you can't do it wrong. I can't emphasise that. I know I've said it loads, but they're dead, yeah? It's your mate, and he's dead, yeah? What's the worst that can happen? He doesn't come back. But if you do nothing, he's not coming back anyway. So, yeah.
Any more questions, boys? You're all up to date?
No, I think.
Well, I'd like to thank.
That man's been listening over there, and he's very quiet. You all right? Do you want to have a go? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Ah.
he's done it with his.
Oh, okay.
His gymnastics. Thank you, Rupert. Now, Rupert has come up on his own time. He's not charged. He's given his time to do this today. He's ended up working today, hence he's in uniform. Well, not
in uniform. I'm in me.
I'm in management uniform because he's had to go to work. But he's did it off his own back, his own time. So I think that's fantastic. Thank you, Rupert. I think we're all going to benefit very much so. I've got 7 other lads on a reserve list, and we would love to grab
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Absolutely do it again.
So thank you very much, Rupert. That was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
That'll help us all, hopefully.
Yeah, no, definitely do it
We'll have
again.
loads of chiefs if it ever happens, but let's hope it never happens.
Yeah, but you can't have too many people helping you. You really can't. So.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Steve. Thank you. Hey, what's some money for the golf?
Cheers.
I forgot to say, boys, they contribute £50 towards their trust for what they do. So, sorry, Rupert, I didn't say that bit. Thank you very much. Cheers.
You want the golf?
No, I said it might be easy just transfer it. Is that an option?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, Rupert might want them in the time. Do you know about that?
They're nearly new. Some winning that we're going to get out.